Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to IksloCraft, the shoutcasting diary by me, Ikslorin, about my journey to learn and play StarCraft II. This video and another one soon are going to be very different though from the rest. Yes, I have been playing StarCraft II, but I haven't as such played any games against any opponents that I'm going to be able to shoutcast. The thing is that the time it will take me to merely be adequate at this game, if I only played ladder and 2v2, would be years. Which is totally normal, obviously, for this game, but I think it can be accelerated just a bit with exercising. And no, I do not mean this kind of exercising. No, I do need that too. What I am talking about is deliberate practice. The idea is very simple, actually. You do a skill-leveled exercise that only focuses on a particular aspect of your play. This way you should be able to learn and improve at that aspect of the game much faster. I was made aware of the viability of this approach by Jack Attack, who has started TheSandbox, a practice group that sets out to help each other by getting better at StarCraft II with deliberate practice. While I'm still only on the fence on really applying to TheSandbox merely just to get access to the proving grounds, I would encourage you to check it out yourself if that sounds interesting to you. The idea of deliberate practice, though, seems to me to be the very best way for me to improve quickly, especially since I can then actually remove the most severe of my bad habits that I'm already aware of being existent. Right now I'm focusing on one exercise by day 9 to better my macro and multitasking, but I also am using 2 arcade games that are meant for practicing some key micro, splitting and stutter stepping. Man, that is actually a rather hard word to say. Let's look at the macro and multitasking exercise, which is explained in detail on the 360th Day 9 Daily. I've added a link in the description, but I will also explain it briefly here if you would not want to use 1.5 hours or 1 hour of your time, though I would encourage you to do it. The first thing we have to redefine is our way of thinking about multitasking. In StarCraft 2, we do actually not need to do several things at the same time. I know it sounds wrong, but listen to me. We just have to cycle through its checklist of tasks, thinking about one thing at a time. A simple checklist would be the infamous probes and pylons, where we first ask, with the first bullet point, are we building probes? If not, we build a probe. And then we go on to number 2, what is our food? If we are nearly supply blocked, we build a pylon. And then we go back to the start of the checklist with 1, are we building probes? With this exercise, we try to build up the complexity of the checklist gradually until you really can keep track of all we need to do in a game, which is why this one is the most important for me to do right now, in my opinion at least. While I play Zerg actually, and don't intend to switch at all, I'm doing this exercise with Terran, and you can easily mirror it for Protoss. The Zerg version of this exercise is a bit more complicated, so I'm waiting a little until I've done this one a bit longer with Terran. I will show that one to you in part 2 together with other exercises I'll find in the future. So let's talk specifically about this exercise itself. At the most basic level, where you would want to start, you will only need 3 things on a custom map or custom game you've made yourself alone. You want unlimited supply so that you don't need to have food as part of your checklist. You need an SAV in control group 1 and a command center in control group 4, or whatever control groups you want to use yourself. So what you need to do is look somewhere unimportant on the map, select the SAV on 1, and then check quickly your SAV production on 4, just to go back to your SAV on 1. This is called the tab, which is integral to the execution of a mental checklist. When the SAV is close to finishing, check your command center more regularly. Build the next SAV right when the other finishes for a constant SAV production, but do not queue the SAV, as that defeats the purpose of the exercise. But that is rather simple, so it actually didn't take me that long to master this level of the exercise. So let's make it more difficult and go to level 2. We now also add a unit moving in a pattern on the screen at where we were looking before. We also are not allowed to shift click the unit, as that would also be queuing, and that is not what we want to do. We want to be able to do all we need without having to queue. That is the purpose of this exercise. Now, that is actually not that more complicated than the other one. I really very fast actually got into the groove, so let's go on to the next level, where we will add a barracks. One barracks for constant marine production. Only one marine is needed though, so I don't know why I had that reactor on the barracks. Thank you. We'll put the new barracks on 5 and now have to keep marine and SAV production going constantly, never skip anything, together with moving the unit and still not queuing anything at all. And then there's level 4 where I'm right now actually at. On top of the constant SCV and marine production and the unit movement, we now also build more waters from another barracks on 6. Or whatever you want to do yourself. When I've mastered this level though, it's safe to say I'm somewhat good to go with the tab. So what I still need to incorporate into my mental checklist would be looking at my resources and the minimap. I also need to master this exercise with curveballs thrown at me. With curveballs, I mean a pre-recorded random instruction tape giving me commands such as move your army up and split. The minimap exercise edition would also have a similar tape with instructions such as look at the Eastern Natural. I would have to make these 2 tapes first though, and I will link it in the description of this and the next part's video, where I'll show it together with the Circ variant of the exercise. But I'm really optimistic about this way of easing the learning curve and frustration of learning StarCraft II. I will surely keep doing this exercise for quite some time, and now finally also have something meaningful to do while I actually listen to a podcast, which is always wonderful. So let's finally go on to the 2 arcade games that are great practice too. With Legacy of the Void, splash damage is more of a threat than ever before, and always need to learn to split the army, not only marines for Terran. Luckily for us in the arcade, the marine split challenge exists. The idea is simple, as you can see on the video. You get thrown a number of banelings at you, and you have to split your 30 marines to still win the engagement. If you succeed, the amount of banelings will increase. So it also scales very well with your skill level, which is perfect for deliberate practice. I've never done a split before actually doing this exercise, but just after 20 minutes of playing around with this thing, and with baneling speed and creep enabled, I've been able to get to level 8, which is 23 banelings. Looks very promising to me, and I'm certainly going to keep on doing this thing. The other exercise is called Micro Marine Challenge, and this is meant as a warm-up tool, but can also be used as a practice for stutter stepping. In this challenge, you have to kill the probe with your single marine before the probe reaches the other side of the arena. It actually took me a surprising time to be able to get a single kill, but after that it didn't take that long to get 4 in a row. And right now that is pretty much it. I'll keep on only doing these exercises for a few more days before I begin dabbling into the Legacy of the Void beta, which I'm already a part of. Before I close, I'd like to ask you if you know any other cool exercises. It doesn't matter if they're on the arcade or not. I'd love to hear them and try them out. So thanks for watching. I'll be back with more StarCraft 2, and I promise there will be shoutcast and not this weird thing. Probably.